Good evening, friends. Myself, Dr. Nidhi Darbari, in My Education Treasure. Today, I am going to tell you about the feedback of micro teaching, its steps. According to Bill Gates, we all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. And according to Robert Allen, good feedback is the key to improvement. There is no failure, only feedback. Failure is a dead end. Failure evokes adverse feeling such as erosion of confidence, a poor self-image, or lack of incentive to improve, which inevitably leads to low level of achievement. When the carefully laid plans have gone awry, most of us tend to think we have failed. Before we conclude hastily that we have failed, should we not pause for a moment and ask which is more beneficial, to regard it as helpful feedback? If we view it as failure, we will give up easily with consequent lack of confidence in pursuing similar plans in future. Failures can be viewed positively with feedback which empowers us to adopt corrective measures and redouble our efforts to strive for the outcome. It enables us to learn from our mistakes. We need to constantly assess whether we are on the right path towards attaining the outcome. With feedback, we get to know how much progress we have made thus far or we are succeeding. According to Parsi, feedback is considered as a device by means of which the effect of a process or system is used to control the process or the system itself. Turney et al. Reported that feedback is a vital component of micro-teaching. Feedback gets more attention of researchers than any other component of micro-teaching. The concept of feedback is being used widely in modifying human behavior with a view to modify it in the desired direction. In teacher training program, the term feedback is an essential and widely used in various contexts such as feedback to the principal, administrator, teacher, student, and to the student teacher. In micro teaching, feedback has important place because it helps in the modification of student teaching behavior during student teaching program, and the cycle of micro teaching remains incomplete. After every teaching, student teacher requires to obtain feedback in order to master a particular teaching skill. Feedback helps a teacher educator to understand the level of mastery of the student teacher on a particular skill, to evaluate the level of competence of a student teacher during teaching. To provide effective and objective feedback to the student teacher, it is desirable that college supervisors, peer supervisors, and students are given training in observation and recording of teacher behavior under a specific teaching skill. Adequate orientation should be given in the use of observation schedules. Feedback can be informal, for example, in day-to-day encounters between teachers and students, between peers or colleagues, or formal, for example, as part of written. Steps involved in feedback. According to Parsi, the feedback training program consists of 3 sections, namely transcripts of the lesson, 2 feedback sessions, 3 feedback discussions of the 2 sessions. Among these 3 sessions, feedback discussion is the most important session. This session cannot be conducted in the absence of observation schedule. The observation schedule is a sort of proforma which enables us as a supervisor to observe the number of time a particular component of a skill being performed by a student teacher during the lesson. It comprises of the list of components of teaching skills in one column and the ratings on the next column. It helps the supervisor to observe various components of feedback. The observed components are analyzed by the supervisor and then he provides the feedback. For providing effective feedback, supervisors should have theoretical understanding of the steps and mastery over the skills of using the steps during the process of feedback. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to my video to motivate me, share it with others and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. The total process of providing feedback includes 5 components as suggested by Parsi: observation of the lesson, socio-emotional climate, quality of feedback, process of feedback, and micro-teaching behavior. The feedback process has 3 well-defined steps which are in sequence and interdependent, namely observation of teaching behavior, analysis of observed behavior, and providing feedback. Observation of teaching behavior is the first point. The first step in the process of providing feedback is observation of teaching behavior of the student teacher. To make objective and accurate observation, the supervisor should be well trained by providing theoretical knowledge of the various components of the teaching skill and the skill of using the observation schedule. During the process of observation, the supervisor should be able to identify, record, and differentiate between the components of the skill that had occurred during the lesson with the help of observation schedule. The next point is analysis of observed behavior. During this step of providing feedback, the supervisor will match the observed teaching behavior of the student teacher with that of the criterion model lesson. He will analyze the total teaching behavior and classify them into desirable and undesirable teaching behavior by converting the observed tallies into ratings on a 7-point scale. The third point is providing feedback. In the third step of feedback, the supervisor will give the information to the student regarding his teaching behavior on the basis of observation of the lesson. He will provide both qualitative as well as quantitative feedback. The supervisor praises the desirable teaching behavior and then gives pinpointed suggestions to improve upon the undesirable ones. The success of feedback will depend upon the extent to which the socio-emotional climate has been developed by the supervisor during the feedback process. The student must be emotionally ready and competent to receive the feedback. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video and don't forget to subscribe.